Good afternoon, guys. We're excited about introducing ourselves and introducing the organization to these men this weekend. You guys know how we approach our business. We wasted very little time lamenting this weekend about what we aren't capable of doing in terms of not being able to work in the same space and things of that nature. And we really focus our energies on maximizing the opportunity that we have, the platforms that we have, and using this opportunity not only to instruct these guys and get an opportunity to get to know them in that way, how they learn and so forth, how they communicate in a football way, but also just introduce some of our support staff initially and make sure that these guys understand some of the spaces that members of our organization work in, and laying the foundation for professional relationships in a lot of areas so that they can be the well-rounded guys that we need them to be. We've had some great opportunities in that area. We just got off of a Zoom team meeting where we were introducing a number of people, Bert being one of them, and how important professionalism is in terms of communicating with media and so forth, for example. So we're excited about that. We're getting to know them as best we can under the circumstances and allowing them to get to know us. And it's been good thus far. We're looking forward to finishing with a strong weekend. And I'd also like to mention that we had Ramon Foster address the group yesterday, and we were excited about that, and Ramon delivered in a big way. I just thought he was a great guy to welcome those guys, a guy that understands the journey that many of those guys are attempting to walk, a guy that was an undrafted guy and went on and had a great career here that lasted over a decade and really was just a well-respected professional and a recently retired professional. So he's, very fresh, obviously, to just getting off the field, and I thought the position that he's in, the perspective that he had would be a good one, and I thought he did an awesome job. So those are some of the things that we're doing with the guys, and we're having a good weekend from an instruction standpoint. That's probably less interesting, getting going in some of the football areas, breaking up into smaller groups, whether it's offense, defense, and special teams, or even smaller groups within that in terms of positional work. Utilization of video and all of those things are an element of that. So we're having a good weekend. With that being said, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, Coach, thank you. The first question is from Mike Pursuta, BVE. Mike, go ahead.
Mike, you've always struck me as a look-him-in-the-eye kind of guy. How are you finding look-him in the laptop?
I'm sorry, Mike?
You always strike me as a guy who's big on communication, looking your players in the eye, individually and collectively. What's it like for you looking them in the laptop?
I've gotten quite comfortable with it, to be honest with you. I'm also a big draft preparation guy, and Kevin and I sit in rooms for over a month in preparation for that, and we had an opportunity to do that virtually in preparation for what we're doing now. So over the course of the time that we've been in shelter in place, I've gotten quite comfortable with utilizing the technology and getting some things done in a normal way, even under these circumstances. And so that hasn't slowed down this weekend at all.
All right, next question, Ed Bouchette from The Athletic. Ed, go ahead.
Mike, with a lot of the states easing back on the restrictions, do you see anything where you can start doing anything with these players personally, person to person?
I would imagine that day is coming. When it's coming, I do not know. There's a couple of things that we're committed to adhering to, and that's the global approach of the National Football League in regards to football ops and how important competitive fairness is in our game. And so we all got to get started on the same footing in that regard. And then also respecting our local governments and the guidelines in which they prescribe individually in terms of workplace things. So those are the two key components for us. We're in a wait-and-see mindset, and we'll be ready to go when both boxes are checked. Until that time, we're going to focus our energies on what is available to us and take advantage of that.
next up we have Dale Lawley from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Dale, go ahead.
Mike, one of the concerns that you had expressed after the draft was getting these young people in and getting them acclimated to professional football and to the city and the staff and everything like that. Do you feel like this weekend adequately did that or started that process?
We're in the midst of it, so, I hadn't gotten the mindset of evaluation of the weekend itself yet, but that is our goal and our intention, and we want to drop a couple stakes in the ground and lay a decent foundation in terms of the introduction of them to our organization and us to them. And so far, so good.
Next question comes from Will Graves, the Associated Press. Will, go ahead.
Mike, I'm curious, have you guys changed the amount of information that you would normally give these guys during a typical rookie first-year minicamp, just because you don't have the ability to do it in the classroom and then go out on the field?
The amount of information or the information that you choose to give guys typically evolves and changes annually anyway, because of the evolution of us in terms of what we aspire to be in all three phases, in terms of the roles potentially that these guys may hold. So there are probably some changes in terms of the amount of information that we're giving them, but there are probably changes every year because things are ever changing. The evaluation of their ability to absorb information, the retention of the information is probably the most significant difference when working in this setting. It's much more difficult to get the feedback, to get the feel of somebody is receiving information when you're working remotely than it is when you're dealing with somebody in the intimate space. So it's probably not about the material or the amount of material that we can give them. It's about the tools of evaluating what they learn, how they learn, and reinforcement of what we give them is probably the most challenging element of the circumstance.
All right, Brooke Pryor from ESPN.com with a question. Brooke, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, going off that, how do you change how you evaluate rookies during the virtual session, the virtual minicamps, versus how you would evaluate them based on what they're learning in a face-to-face instruction?
Brooke, we're not in the evaluation stage, and guys that have been around me for a number of years know my mentality in regards to that. We're in a teaching and an instruction stage right now, and we will be in that until we get into a football environment in a training camp-like setting, and we're playing the game. All the things that we're doing for them right now is preparing them for that, and so there's very little evaluation per se in these circumstances, and that would be the same even if we were working together. The only thing that we evaluate is how they learn, and it's not done so in an effort to evaluate them. It's just done so in an effort to effectively teach them and utilize all the tools at our disposal to make sure that we're having them moving in the right direction in terms of being ready for training camp.
Next one, Jeff Hathorn, 93.7 The Fan. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, I was wondering, what is your advice to the guys about how they can stay ready or gear up for when that time does come when you can see them in person?
One thing that they share with all rookies, and so the circumstances are irrelevant, is that they don't know what they're getting into. No rookie does. And the only way that you can pay respect to that is to be in the very best conditioning for your position of your life. And that's something that we sell to all rookies. That's something that we're selling to this class. That's something that we sell to every class because that's one thing that they all have in common, and it is very true. When it's your first lap around the track, you don't know what it is you get into. So you better be as best prepared as you can.
Next question, Jim Wexel, 247 Sports. Jim, go ahead. next question will go to Chris Adamski from the Tribune Review. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Mike, now that you've had, I know we probably asked this a month ago, but now it's an extra month and there's a little more virtual instruction, a little more virtual meetings and things like that. Can you talk about both Matt Canada and Ike Hilliard and how they're meshing in with you and how it seems like the little chances we get to talk to players, it seems like those players are taking to both of them at their respective position coaching jobs?
I'm sorry, I missed the significant element there of your question. How is Matt Canada and Ike Hilliard getting?
How are they fitting in with some staff?
It's been really good. Those guys were part of our staff even prior to the shelter in place. So we had a lot of opportunity to work with those guys in an office-like space. I've known both men a number of years. A lot of the guys on our staff have. So there's a lot of things to call upon. But much like the instruction and the introduction of the players, we've been able to utilize a lot of platforms to aid in them getting settled into their responsibilities. And we're excited about having both men. And so far, so good. But like all of us right now, man, we hadn't faced any real challenges or really any real adversity that comes with playing and coaching football.
All right, next question, Andrew Stockey from Channel 4. Andrew, go ahead. All right, moving on, we'll go to Jenna Harner from WTXI. Jenna, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, just wanted to wonder, how you kind of seen the rookies rise to the challenge of all of these unknowns and how much of a benefit it is, I guess, the fact that, this is all new for them.
We don't have the answer to that. We don't have the answer. And there's one thing that you got to acknowledge is that in these circumstances, there's certain things that you don't have the answer to, and time will provide those answers, and I don't waste a lot of time speculating what those answers might be. This class is going to be affected by these circumstances. It'll be fair in that this class globally will be affected by these circumstances. Not only the Pittsburgh Steelers rookies, but all the rookies throughout the National Football League. I'm sure it's going to affect their ability in some instances to participate and the amount of participation and contribution, but we'll all understand the ramifications of that as we walk the journey. And until then, I don't waste a lot of time worried about what that might be.
All right, a couple more questions. Mark Caboli from The Athletic, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Mike, true nose tackle is not used as much, now that in years past. But you still use it about 300 snaps a year. Do you have that guy on the roster right now? And how will you approach that position this year? And is Davis a possibility?
There's no question that we have some candidates. Obviously, that's a position that was manned by Javon for a number of years. Last year, he was backed up by Dan McCullers. He's still on our roster. We've added some young men in this process. We have some veteran guys that are nose capable, like Tyson Alualu. So we're comfortable with the men that we have to work with. We'll sort those guys out and allow those guys to establish themselves within the position. We're not opposed to adding to that position if we come across some capable men or a capable man between now and then. We're comfortable with where we are. The big thing is, like Javon displayed, it's best when you have a nose that is versatile in today's game. There's just not a lot of opportunities for those guys to have impact if they're nose only. That's what added value to Javon's portfolio and his performance and career with us. He was also a capable sub-package rusher. And so, you got to be versatile. We have some candidates. Within those candidates are guys that are capable of doing other things because that's just the nature of the position in today's game.
Okay, next one, Aubrey Bruce from the Sentinel. Aubrey, go ahead. Okay, moving on. Last question we have time for. Brian Batko from the Post-Gazette. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, do you think the league should allow some teams to open their facilities and get back to in-person work sooner than others that maybe have different restrictions or situations in their states, or do you rather see all 32 get the same starting line, so to speak?
I subscribe to the approach of competitive fairness within our game, and that is everybody gets an opportunity. Our game is extremely competitive. It's one of the things that makes football at this level so attractive to our fans. I'm committed to preserving and protecting that. And so all teams get an opportunity to start on the same